Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of the Women's World Cup. This one taking place between France and South Africa. A battle of who can finish at the top of Pool D. Now, from the game that we've just witnessed, New Zealand versus Ireland, it means the winner of this game faces the Irish. The loser of this contest will face the Kiwis. So, looking through, first of all, at the way that the quarterfinals are shaping up. Of course, first in Pool C, that is now New Zealand. So, like I said, loser of this game will be in quarterfinal number 1, and then whoever wins that match will face the winner of Canada versus Australia. The winner of this game will face the Irish. They will face the winner of England versus Scotland, but still plenty that can take place in the very near future. Looking through at this matchup, first of all, we'll go with the underdogs. South Africa in this contest, they have got a mountain of work to do. $13 underdogs, which tells you they aren't given much of a chance, but if their World Cup is anything to base it off already, they managed to beat the Italians in what was a last-minute thriller and one of the best matches of the whole World Cup competition. In their first game, they were able to beat Brazil confidently, and overall a very strong-looking lineup for this matchup as well. But jumping straight into the front row, it is going to be Yonela Ngolo as the number 1, Gunther at 2, and Lasha starting in as the 3, Ubisi alongside Ngolo as the number 5, Makua, Jacobs, and also, of course, the ever-dangerous Ele as the number 8. She scored the early try up against the Italians, and she is considered as one of the most dangerous forwards in this whole competition. Nadine Roos gets the start at 10 alongside Zulu as the... Nadine Roos at 9 with Zulu at 10. Guave in the midfield alongside Webb, Samboya, Hilliers, and then also Dolph as at number 15. Now, I will mention, New Zealand have just scored themselves another try, and they have actually got themselves 2 since we ended that live stream about 3 minutes ago. So the end score in that contest now sitting 38-0 with a kick. Still to come, but looking through at this French side. Now, I will be honest, all throughout this week, at times I've been trying to get those South African pronunciations right, and I should have probably been looking at this French side, because I am terrible when it comes to French names. We learnt that throughout the July series between the All Blacks and France, but I will be trying my absolute best to get these names right. I do think the back 3, though, is where France can be so dangerous, because when you look at the pace of South Africa, of course it is extremely evident, but at the same time, it's just whether or not they can handle playing up against a side that are a lot higher on them on the rankings. Don't get me wrong, like I said, South Africa love being the underdog, and they love proving people wrong, but it's a mountain to climb. You know, the same game. Those two, depending on what side it is on, 29 points to 24 in favour of the South Africans for that game up against the Italians. Whereas France, they were able to beat Italy 24-0 in their contest. They will be trying to do the same here to the South Africans, but they will be more than up for the challenge in what will be an absolutely awesome contest. But looking through at the chat, it is going very quickly at the moment, and of course it is greatly appreciated, every single one of you, for being here for this matchup. Do, of course, let me know your score predictions in this one too. But we are only about a minute away from the kickoff in this matchup. We got the ads beforehand. The national anthems have been sung. Well, a lot of survey votes for South Africa to win in your survey, says Akara Seal. I would assume that is because we've got more South Africans watching than people from France. So that may be a little bit in terms of where it ties in. We have got there 36-0 for New Zealand. And also what is scored by the Black Ferns. And New Zealand just finished with the coast to coast. And thank you for broadcasting this match. Excited, says Yorena. It is a massive one for South Africa. The fact that no matter what happens in this game as well, they are through to the quarterfinals of the Women's World Cup. That is an achievement in its own right. And to be able to do any more than that, beating the French here would be massive. They would get to play Ireland in the quarterfinals rather than the defending champions New Zealand. So I do think that's the goal. But at the same time, you have to try the absolute hardest not to end up with any big injuries here. You know, losing a player like Nadine Roos or losing an LA here would be absolutely brutal. South Africa by 2 points, says Stefan there. And Holly Davison is my favourite rest, says Mo. And how many tries does Georgia Miller, Braxton Lee, and Portia Woodman have, says Theme. Well, I know that in the last game, Braxton got herself the 3 tries. We do see here Munarini. She is going to be the referee in charge of this game. South Africa kicking off from right to left, and we are just about ready to go for this matchup. And crikey, some positive South African thinkers in the chat, says Thuds Race. And I feel like they're on a high because at the end of the day, this side has done better than people thought. No one saw them going through to the quarterfinals, but now they're booked for that next match. But this game at Northampton, and we are underway. France with the ball in hand, 30 metres out from their own line. And South Africa 7, France 35, says Andrew Brown. And also 24 for South Africa, 21 for France. Where are they playing? This game taking place at Northampton Saints home ground. Oh, a little bit of a miss pass there for the French, who are now having to defend, or no, regathered, sitting 10 metres out from their own line, getting bulldozed down to the turf for Glizé. We have got there, Hamish as a South African. I must back my country to win by 7, says GB. Are we really going to view this match? We missed our national anthem, says Eve. So, sadly, due to YouTube's policies and also copyright infringement, we aren't able to show any match footage. But what we will be doing is the play-by-play commentary, kick towards the touchline from France. In fact, it hasn't got a lot of distance on it. And now claimed by South Africa with Sambuya. They have got themselves their first early attacking chance. France physicality in the breakdown. Trying to get the steal. Nadine Roos goes across to Zulu. Oh, LA, is she all right? I think she's just redoing up her shoelace here. Thought for a second that they had lost one of their best players in the first second of this game, Quave. Now moving forward. Got options on this left-hand side. Knocked on by Latsha. I think that was almost a pass in between both props, but now the ball on the outside from France. It is a pop pass. That's to the referee in the touchline. And it will now be South Africa's line out, or at least it would have been, but I believe they are going back for an original penalty. Hi, everyone, again. Great job on the South African pronunciations. Says Lilia B there, don't underestimate France. Yeah, I don't think anyone would want to in this match. This French side is dangerous. They've had a little bit of a shaky start, but I believe that is just down to trying to find that rhythm. Box by 10 isn't that the usual tip? It would be in the men's scenario, and this one, I think if the Box win it, it would be by less than 5. And a trial at this ground for Northampton many years ago, says Akaris. What did you think about the Curry Cup? It's an interesting one, the Curry Cup. I'm not completely... I don't like that certain sides got to really stack their teams for the last round and cost other teams opportunities. But at the same time, like, it's within the rules of the competition. But if you're only going to play your best team for the last round to stop other sides from doing better, like, what's the point? I get that it's pre-season for the URC. That's the only benefit from it. But yeah, it just seemed a bit, last round wasn't as good as it could have been. Heard about the haircuts, Hamish? Thank goodness you get to keep your hair. Yeah, if I'm feeling extremely generous, we might do the same bet for the second match. But we'll wait and see. Now, scrum feed is going to be for the French here, with Bourdon. Ready to feed this ball in. As a South African up the All Blacks and up the Black Ferns. Says Theme Screamer. Now ball just about to go in. Scrums in the last game between New Zealand and Ireland, a little bit scrappy. That's a big push from France, though. No penalty advantage, but that is a statement made early for a scrum of the South Africans that has been dominating most of the sides that they've gone head-to-head with. That is quite the way of doing it. Nadine Roos getting in there, no halfback for the French, so it means South Africa are in possession, 45 metres out from the line. It's going to be actually Dolph back in that number 15 jersey for this game. Latsha has knocked it on, and France will have themselves another scrum. And AB's by 10 says, Doc, if the Springboks win, you must walk barefoot everywhere for 1 week. To be fair, I could probably, but no, you're not allowed to wear barefoot on a building site. That would get me in trouble. So, if it's just anywhere but work, it would just be around the house, wouldn't it? And LA and Libby are the players to watch. And interestingly enough, they didn't go with Jansi van Rensburg at all in this lineup. Instead, they have got Zulu as the starting 10. So saving Jansi van Rensburg for their future match around the corner in the quarters. Oh, Hamish, I did not realise you were going to cover this match. Thank you, says Greta. And yeah, we have covered every game for the South African women's side, and it has been an awesome time watching this side grow. Free kick for South Africa, even though it was France's scrum feed. Just another little mistake there. Show us your screen. Says Scorpio, sadly, if I was to show any match footage or audio, I would get taken down straight away off YouTube and banned for 3 months. So I get a holiday, but it would be a pretty boring one for me because I'd have nothing to do. So South Africa will play the Ferns in the quarterfinal. If South Africa lose this game, they will be playing New Zealand in their quarterfinal match. But if South Africa can somehow cause an upset and beat the French here, they will face the Irish in the quarters. Little chip in behind, slap back onto the side of the South Africans. Dolph, the lady who did claim it. Nadine Roos back across to the left, still in the hands of South Africa. Jacobs and a good two-woman tackle from this French side. They have got some really physical forwards, which is why this match on paper can be so epic. That's going to be a bit of an aerial challenge there. Both sides knocking it on out on the wing. The first knock on was from France, from Grisey. So we will see now the scrum feed for the box. At least for the top 4 teams. We got there the standards of women rugby has massively shot up since the last World Cup. Says Big Rig and Ahoy H says Juan Pierre. Yeah, we've had some good competitive games throughout this Women's World Cup, which has been fantastic. We don't want New Zealand, says Hano. I do think South Africa's best chance of getting to the semi-finals, and this is nothing at all against the Irish, but I do think their best chance is if they play Ireland in the quarters rather than the Kiwis. I think that maybe that game up against New Zealand, it would absolutely fire the Springboks side up that little bit more, but it will be a mountain to climb. But I think this women's side has already shown that they're willing to really try and climb that mountain. I mean, beating Italy for one was a massive win. That one's gone back out the same door, or back out the same entrance as the scrum was fed into, so it will be another reset. 0-1 the Kiwi versus Ireland game. New Zealand managed to get themselves the win in that contest in the end 40-0. At the time that we stopped streaming was at about 77 minutes through, and they were only 26-0 up, and then 2 quick fire ones in a row. Can you read Afrikaans? Only some Afrikaans I do know. Wherever their French are experienced, they have the talent. If the Springboks win, then you don't cut your toenail for 3 weeks. Okay. So I'll just strategically chop it beforehand. Or are you talking about this game? I'm not sure which is better, New Zealand or the Irish to play. I think South Africa, they would want to face Ireland. To be honest, in terms of the rankings, the fact that we just saw New Zealand beat Ireland 40-0, that definitely makes me think that they are the better team to want to go up against. I read this Yao Lekading, that means you good thing. But now going for the corner, France around the halfway line. If Africa win the World Cup, nice braai, yes, says Gerhard. Yeah, there would certainly be celebrations all around the place. It's a good kick towards the touchline though. France now in a good position on the field, able to create their attack, currently sitting about 25 out for Huron. Nicely taken. And that is going to be about 20 metres out, trying to get a bit of a pick and go going off the side of the maul. Good defence from the box though. Physical in those tackles. Now almost straight through the middle. That almost got a bit too easy for Vernier. Now Filiu just out from the goal line to the left-hand side. France have about 3 numbers on the outside, but instead it is Kunde who decides to hang on to it, looking to release that ball. Teammates trying to take it off her, but she wouldn't give it up. She went to ground. Now, Falk does have it there. 3 metres out again for France. Back across. Boisseau. And their number 1 jersey. Oh, she can't quite get the extended arm. South Africa had to be very careful. That would have been offside, but it's the try anyway. They're checking this. That's her leg. One of the South African players had her leg the wrong way. Like it was kind of bent underneath her, and she looked like she was in all sorts of discomfort. They will check this, but I believe if it is not a try, Ubesi was actually offside here. So she could end up getting herself potentially penalised. Okay, it's actually going to be no try. She did knock it on. And Hamish, whatever you do, don't look at the cricket score. Our betting collapsed, chasing 400 plus, says Xander. So it is going to be a penalty for offside. Whose knee was it? Nah. That's not how your leg's supposed to bend. Guave. Is she back up? Surely she's not back up on her feet. She could have actually buggered her knee as well as her ankle all in one movement there. But I think she's continuing. Bad weekend for South African sports, says James there. Broken leg. Honestly, it wouldn't have surprised me if she did a tendon or anything, but she's still playing. She's going to be all right. Maybe. We'll see how it goes when she runs on it. But it looks like the quick tap is what the French are going to be looking for. Close to the try line now, but again dragged down off to the right. Chance here to use the back line. Skip pass is all that's needed. And it is the try. Boulard in the number 15. does score the try, and France get on the board first. Woke up for the Black Ferns game and see you streaming our possible quarterfinal opponents. Respect the dedication, Hamish. To be fair, we've actually, I think, covered more games of South Africa's in this Rugby World Cup for the women than we have for the Black Ferns. Well, that might not be true. I think we've covered all the games for both teams, actually. But for the Black Ferns, we had to cut off the second half of one of their games to then cover the South Africa match up against the Italians. French halfback is seriously awesome. Delivery on the plate for the base of the ruck. And also, we have got there Boulaz, a very good player. So here's all in the game. Well, looks like maybe is this ball going to be held on the kicking tee? Set there, 7 from 14 last week for the French fly half. And she is 0 from 1 today, going away to the right-hand side. We have got there, what was the final score in New Zealand versus Ireland? 40-0 in the end for the New Zealanders. And then Rus trying to get across. Cut that one off. Just not quite able to stop that attacking play from this French side. And French started. And yeah, that is where South Africa have to be very careful. Because, you know, they had I'd say a decent chance on attack early on in this game. But then slowly France just kept on working their way down the field. France are magicians in that turnover. So here's Ruth. Give Bruce Thompson the red card, please, sir. Says Doc. I didn't actually see what Bruce said. Where's Bruce? Is Bruce here? I don't see Bruce. Maybe Bruce's comment didn't come through for me. We have got their French number 9 is the best in women's rugby. So here's all in the game. Now, back across to the right-hand side. Another run from Brosseau. His name didn't quite sound French when I tried to say it. Kicked him behind. Down towards the halfway line. Dolph gets an awkward bounce of the ball. Come on, France. And France are bullying us, says Hunter. Yeah, huge physicality in the fullback, but nice stepping from Dolph to try and break through the line. This is the best result for South Africa because if they play New Zealand for the next round, they are going home. Devon Len now kicked him behind by France. It's an awkward bouncing one. Whenever that ball's kind of out in open play, we actually saw in the game between Ireland and New Zealand, there was one run from Amy Lee, what was Murphy Crow, and she ended up with the ball just curling around into touch. Hi, what date is the women's quarterfinal, says Roger. Fantastic question. What I can do is I can go like that. So, pretty much for that game that is at 12 a.m. New Zealand time, that is going to be a 2 p.m. South African time kickoff for you guys on Sunday. And that would be the quarterfinal if South Africa were to lose this game that they would be playing in. If they end up winning this game, then they will be playing on the 2 p.m. Monday game. 2 p.m. Sunday game. So it's either 2 p.m. Saturday or 2 p.m. Sunday for you guys in South Africa. But either way, the Blitz box, the women's box are through. 79% actually believe South Africa will beat France, says Cameron Kay. Now ready to throw this ball in. So Springboks men will not beat Lost Boomers in Durban. Won't they? I still think that they'll go all right in South Africa up against them. And I do think they'll probably take out the Twickenham test too because South Africa, on neutral ground have a pretty good record against pretty much everyone. But nice run forward from Kouave. That is going to be a knock to the head from her. So advantage and play for the South Africans for the high tackle, and they will go back for it. Right, this is an easy 3 if they want it. And thanks, bro, says Roger. No worries at all. Right. What do you do if you're South Africa here? When you know you're going to be up against it? Do you take a 3 just to say you've got some points on the board? That is what they're going to do here, South Africa. Payback for the shameless Men's World Cup in France. Says Katzenel. And we have got there Sanzas playing for France. She's in the number 9 jersey for this game. Already had a big impact in terms of that first French try. And we have got there New Zealand waits the Springboks women team in the quarterfinals. Says Cameron Kay. And pity that most teams had qualified for quarterfinals after 2 weeks. Poor scheduling, says Studs Race. You see, it's an interesting one because some would say that it's not ideal that everyone was qualified pretty much heading into the last round. But then at the same time, it meant that we got all of these head-to-heads of top teams facing each other to work out who was qualifying number 1. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. Some people have praised the way that the format has been so that it's 1 versus 2 all across the board. And then others have said maybe it should have been spread out so that you have big matches each week, which I think is important that you have the big head-to-heads. Last week we saw some brilliant games between USA and Australia, as well as South Africa versus Italy in close games. Now, back across to the left-hand side. But I think they were hoping to try and avoid any absolute slaughterings in the last round, which they still kind of have had anyway. And it's going to be kicked high. No one going up for it for the French after the kick from the box. A big shot on the try scorer here in Boulard. It can't be worse than South Africa government, Mo, says Winnard. And Springboks men are bad right now, says Mo. Now, ball available again. And kick downfield. That is, at the moment, the game that France are playing, the territory battle, slowly forcing South Africa back further and further, but now Dolph decides to kick it back herself. Counter-attacking chance now. Now, Baudon Sanchou, I should say. I said Sansis before because then I realised what you were talking about. But off to the side. Chance here for Cilliers. We have got their score keep ticking. Broken rib. Who's got the broken rib? I mean, Amoni Narua might have a broken rib. He got hit pretty hard in that section. Oh, that's going to be the penalty going the way of South Africa. No clear release from the French first. We have got their Hamish. Is Narua playing in Wellington, or is he out for the next test? I'd assume he's out. Oh, broken rib for Narua. See, I haven't actually heard the injury update of whether or not it is a broken one or whether he just took a really nasty knock, but you'd assume that something's probably loose in that area. If South Africa plays the Irish next week, they have a good chance of moving to the next round. So here's Mr. and Mrs. Manu. Yeah, for that to happen, they have to cause the massive upset here. Beat a French side that are considered as probably one of the top 4 favourites of the whole competition. Penalties conceded at the moment, 3 against France compared to the 2 up against South Africa. How many ABs got HIAs and will be out for the Wellington test? I believe the only one who got actually concussed per se was Cody Taylor. Everyone else seemed to pass their HIAs, but I think they had about 3 of them. We saw Geordie Barrett go off for 1. I think, who else was... I think Satiti went off for 1 as well. Now off to the left-hand side. Zulu going into the hands of Guave, and she is trying to break through. Gives the pass to Ele, who did knock it into the hands of... it was... I've forgotten how to say her name. It's the number 1. I practiced it so many times before the stream, and now my mind's gone blank. Now passing off to the side. Yonela Ingolo. No, I've butchered it. I had it in the start, and I practiced it like 100 times before this match, but that is going to be the knock-on from South Africa. Okay, so I've learned I can't say her name in a panic situation. I'm a South African supporter, but not blindly so, says Clive. I got the Bocky, says Casper there. Yeah, the wide cutout pass attempted, and then it was stolen by Grisey. And the Boks are considered as 20-minute rugby gone missing for 1 hour against All Blacks and the Wallabies. And French females played just like the men, very fluid. There's Katzenel. And we have got the I4C. This match is going to be major upset. South Africa will win, says Casper. Handling errors at the moment, 4 against South Africa. Your sound effects made her knock on, says one Beer Bosch. Now chance here. And big push there from the French fullback, but too much movement. And Colin Havers trying to pronounce it. I can't help you because I can't pronounce it, says Xander. So it's Yonela Ngolo. Oh, I said it so good before. I'm actually really annoyed with myself because I had it almost worked out. Yonela Nah, it's gone. Just like that. I think I've said too many French names and it's messed with my tongue again. I mentioned about it on the last live stream. I was getting my tongue in the right place, and then we started saying New Zealand and Irish names, and the tongue's gone downhill. And we have got there, Bien Je Le France. Says, Katzenel, your pronunciations of the names are great, mate. Keep up the good work. Says, Mr. and Mrs. Manu. Chances of going past the quarterfinals are very low. However, the next World Cup, they will be a semi-finalist. Says Clive. Now, ready to put this ball in again. And a big push from the French. And an advantage in play as well, going off to the left-hand side, piercing through. And it is Vernier who does score the try for France that gets another one. I don't pause after you said N. I normally, earlier on in the lineups, I got it right. Earlier on in the day, I was getting it right, but it's just for some reason on the spot. I must be terrible under pressure, you'd think, because that is it's just disappeared. We have there, Cooked Goose. And show live match, please. Says Beauty. It is on Super Sport. It's on Sky Sport. It's on Stan Sport. And also it's on Paramount Plus if you're in the US or NBC, I believe. Also, do you have it? We have got there France to win, says Patrick. Now ready to line up this kick. Currently sitting 0 from 1. This one 14 metres out from the line. South Africa, this is bad. Although, I do want to clarify. South Africa were $13 underdogs. And we're expected to lose this game by 27 or more points. So, as much as, it was a massive win up against the Italians, but realistically, France should win this game by a lot. But that does not mean that South Africa can't push them a little bit here. And we're seeing some good physicality throughout the early stages. Now sitting 12 points to 3. Why did we even take part? Says Ben, who are you talking about? You're talking about, who? South Africa. They're through to the quarterfinals. They've got a lot further in this comp than a lot of sides have. However, they're at 12-3 already. Frenchie's grilling us. She almost missed again. My God. She needs to practice her kicks. Says Katzenel. Yeah, sitting only 50% off the kicking tee last game. The type of thing that could really end up costing this side. France are a very good side. They took England close in the Six Nations. Just showing the way that it currently sits, South Africa versus New Zealand would be the first quarterfinal. Currently 21 minutes through. It's good. South Africa have impressed. Says Ruth, and also we have got the that was next level. Says Thuds Rays. Yeah, she will be one to definitely watch out for in the quarters, because France versus Ireland, you would think, would go. It should go anyway the French's way. South Africa comeback. Says Manji, so France are inconsistent. Says Big Rig and Kiyakaha Hamish, it'll happen, don't worry. She won't mind because you're being legit genuine. Says Jean and France are BS. Says James Joe. Getting into the breakdown, Nadine Russ. Ball is there again for South Africa. Little cross kick attempted there from Zulu. In fact, it was more so a chip. And now passing away to the right, looking for the offload. Might have come off the South African hand or some boya. Gets back up to her feet. Trying to wrestle her just that little bit closer to the touchline. Off to the left again. Escudero. That number 8 jersey. Oh, it's knocked on by France. And now chance again. It is going to be Katha Jacobs. And, we're going back for the scrum. England, New Zealand are favourites. Says Ben Kennedy. So you're saying because New Zealand and England are the favourites that no other side should take part in the competition? Are you saying? But then in that case, why don't you just have a one-match series between those two and just cancel the whole World Cup? That's pretty much the mindset you're going with. But, quarterfinals around the corner. The thing is, had a couple upsets so far in this competition. Maybe not as many as we'd like to see, but could it be in the quarterfinals that something happens? All it takes is a red card for a team that shouldn't get a red card, and all of a sudden we've got a game on our hands. New Zealand versus England in the finals. New Zealand going back-to-back. Says Mr. and Mrs. Manu. You just described the Ashes. Hamish says Big Rig Joe. Maybe a little bit. But hopefully this year's Ashes will be relatively close. I am going to quickly sneeze, ladies and gents, so I will hide myself off to the side and mute so you don't have to hear me. Currently, there is a stoppage taking place. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. I also did just listen to a voice note that I had when I did almost pronounce her name right. Yonela Ngolo. Ngolo. There we go. It's almost coming back. I just had to try and work out where my click was, but Yonela Ngolo in that number 1 jersey. And I saw that, Hamish. Says Stephen there, and also we really bless you. Says Wild, and also England are unbeaten for 30-plus games. No one has beaten the English. Says Cameron Kay. I wonder how many positions France will drop in the world rankings if they lose this one. It would drop them drastically in there. But the front row's going head-to-head. Yonela Ngolo in their number 1 jersey. You can't tell I'm kind of happy that I've almost worked it out. Nadine Rus. Ready to feed this ball, and big scrum, competitive there, but France still trying to get that little bit of an edge. Kick downfield, waiting a long time for that ball to come down. Alexia Hamish says Murley, and Africans can win the trophy for best looking this year. Says Robert there. Now still moving forward, although turning it into a maul. Ball ends up coming out. So an advantage in favour of the French. Again, big collision there. Ale with a huge hit. Now passing on the outside. One more. This is a chance for France to feed it into the hands of Grisey. Now another offload. Keeping it alive. Another offload. It's going to keep on going. Birna though, but it is obstruction. What time is the men's final US Open? I actually have no idea. And I actually don't even know who's in the US Open final. How many positions did the Box drop for losing yesterday, Hamish? They've dropped to number 3 in the world rankings. What time is... I know I read that one. Hey, still have a voice, good stuff. I actually have no idea how. I've talked far more in the last 24 hours than I probably should have. Yeah, I don't even know if my voice has lost any of its normal sound. England woman always goes into World Cups as long winning streaks. Look at how many finals they've made versus one, says Studs Race. Oh, that one doesn't end up finding the touchline. So again, the counter-attacking chance for the French. Bouillard, I should say. Oh, she got a shot on the cheekbone and did not like that one. And it looks like Webb, there is a stoppage here. And this one's going to be checked. And more than likely a yellow card for Eloise Webb here. Of a high collision. Do you think the Abbies need Richie Mo'unga back in the team? I know that Razor wants him back. I'm not sure when he is going to... I do. I think it's November next year is when we're going to see Mo'unga get injected back in. In fact, it might even be the year after. No, it must be next year. Come on, South Africa, you're our last hope. Says Siabonga there. The cricket score looks bad, says Wild Lobster. And if France lost by more than 15 points, they would lose 6 world ranking points and still remain 4th in the world rankings. Says Akaris there. Don't see our girls beating France here, says Howard. They are doing a TMO review here. The last thing that South Africa need is some sort of card in the scenario to get them that little bit further behind. Right, it's all being checked. Very official for this one. Oh, my apologies. I thought that it was actually Eloise Webb, but it is in fact Woma who does end up with the collision. Now, she's upright. She is dipping, and it looks like she actually closes her eyes. So you'd actually assume that she may not have even known that she was going to hit her in the head, but the sad reality is she has. So more than likely, this is going to be a yellow card for the South African player, as they will argue that she could have been lower in that scenario for Quave. And hello, everyone. Not South Africa's a weekend for sports, eh? Says randomly factual. It's been that way for a little bit, though, hasn't it? How, even just that weekend when Dracus du Plessis was fighting. That was the week that we saw South Africa lose to Australia, as well as in the cricket. So at the moment, it's very much a kind of up and down roller coaster for South African sport. How one week they will win absolutely everything on the board, and then the next week they'll struggle in most. So, yeah, it's a bit of a weird one at the moment, but I think they'll be back again, Yellow card all day long, says CK. And it's already over for South Africa. And does anyone know what website to watch the game online in South Africa? I don't think they've got too many options for free, unfortunately, in South Africa, which I think is rough. I think that they should have the quarterfinal for free for South African viewers, as it might attract a lot more people to the women's game. And we are on track to lose the cricket by 350 runs, says randomly factual. And Rich Mo'unga back to the NPC in 2026. Super Rugby 2027. And can be selected for the AB's late 2026. Unless dispensation, says Suds Race. Do you know what the goal is with Leicester's situation, Suds Race? Whether or not he's actually eligible to be selected. That one hasn't found touch from the French. That is a big mistake to make. And now, nicely taken by Saliers, who does land hard on her face. I mean, South Africa will lose, but there's still no reason to give up. Loose ball. Oh, this is dangerous. They're in their in-goal area. They almost have to consider kicking. It was actually a forward pass anyway from South Africa from their goal line. So a 5-metre scrum now for the French. And this is where it gets dangerous. Come on, South Africa, says Greta. And good win for the Ferns. Yeah, 40-0 up against the Irish is certainly a scoreline that they'll be pretty happy with. I honestly think 40 points is great, right? But it's that nil that they'll love that little bit more. Now front rows colliding here. This is where France will look for the pushover. Only 5 metres out from the line at the moment. Come on, South Africa, says Robert. And Precious says Ruth. Already 25 minutes through. I can't believe how quick this game's going. I feel so weird to say she's the French hooker when women are playing, says Big Rig. And Leicester not eligible until end of NPC, but got a dispensation to join the squad already. Yeah, so he's in the squad. He can train, he can do everything, but he just can't play, can he? And I think from what I saw is Xavier Rowe and... Oh, this is going to be a try. Nadine Rose tries to stop her, but can't quite. And Escudero does score another try for France. But yeah, I think it was Xavier Rowe and someone else who came into the squad also weren't eligible to play, weren't they? Or something along those lines, which I'm not too sure why. We have their try for France. And game over, says Hano. And how good is the French ladies? Are they one of the top teams? They are. They are sitting at the moment, I believe, 4th on the world rankings. They are expected to do well in this World Cup. They have pushed England in that Six Nations just earlier on this year. So, England are certainly considered as the favourites, but France are considered as at least semi-finalists in this comp. Unless something drastically goes wrong in their quarterfinal. Oh, that was an angry face from the French number 10. She looked over her shoulder at the referee, and she did not look happy. And they are scary good, says Hannah, but she gets this kick over, so she has something to be happy about. Only sitting 2 from 3 today, but 19 points to 3 now in favour of the French. South Africa should be proud of their achievements in this World Cup. This game is done, says Mr. and Mrs. Manu. It is very unfortunate that this is South Africa's last game because, they are a side that heading into this contest were given very little chance, right? And... to make it through to the quarterfinals, what does this do to the team's confidence going into your next game if you lose this game, let's say, just theoretically, by somewhere around that 40 points? Does that give you more motivation heading up against New Zealand, or does it make you think, are we really good enough to compete with those top sides? I hope it's the first one, but kick downfield from France and a very good exit there. So New Zealand will play South Africa and France will play Ireland. Yep, that is the way that it does look like. It will end up going. Oh, she's asking for a touch there. She's saying get the TMO going because it's touched her finger. Okay, referee. What is that accent by the ref? It's Italian, isn't it? It almost sounded French there for a second. I was thinking, surely not. We have there the second one, says Hano. And also Boudon is considered the best 9 worldwide, says Kropotine. Kropotkin, I assume that is. So that is going to be now the penalty going the way of France. Just slightly offside for Nadine Rose. Despite scores, South African girls have improved this year, says Hillary. They absolutely have. And I do think that, even looking through at what they've been able to do in the earlier stages of this year, and looking at the last World Cup, they have just gone from leaps and bounds in the last couple of seasons. I think De Bruyne's doing a great job with them. Beautiful offload, but knocked on by Condé in the centres. South Africa have got this ball, but they are under all sorts of pressure again. And it is an intriguing one here because you look at a player like Ella in that number 8 jersey. She's been someone who is always physical throughout the other 2 games that we've seen. She's been able to bulldoze over the opposition, get the turnovers and the breakdown. This game, she isn't as prominent. And I think that is because there are many French players who are also competing with her. Your French pronunciation is quite funny. It is. It's nowhere near the actual names. Oh, go away. They've given her a red card, the South African player. The yellow was enough. She ducks down, she turns her head, she closes her eyes. It's not a red card in any game. England Black Ferns finale, sure. Says wrist there. Why is South Africa not moving forward at all? I think it's just the way that France have been able to defend here. Harsh, says Big Rig Joe, that's a joke. Says Studs race for the red card, no mitigation. it looked pretty mitigating to me. There was a little bit of a dip in where she was going from. There's a change of direction as well, actually, to take into consideration. So semi-finals will be Canada versus New Zealand and France versus England. Those will be two great games. The same red card for Sam Cane versus Springboks in the the final, 2023. For me, it's a rugby incident. Says Haino there. Now it's going to be kicked downfield. Oh, an awkward control there for France. That looked like a knock-on. They'll go back now for another scrum for South Africa. Got to love the consistency of rugby refereeing. And 99 call, ladies, come on. I think South Africa will definitely find a lot of confidence in this competition. It will only get better and stronger in the future. And from where we were a few years ago in terms of the ladies' rugby, the progress we've made is amazing. It absolutely is. You know, we were looking through at past games that South Africa had gone up against the Italians. And only a couple years ago, I believe South Africa lost to the Italians by a good 30 points, if not maybe more. And now you see them here, and, you know, they were able to somehow, some way beat the Italians. And, bro, like I said, South Africa will go home after the quarterfinal when Black Ferns will smash them, says Martin. And I hope there will be a French off between France and Canada in the final, says Katzenel. It's a bad red card, says Robert. The only benefit that they've got is the fact that it's only a 20-minute red card rather than being the full rest of the game. But it does still mean that South Africa, for the rest of this half and some of the second, will be down to 14 players. We have here, South Africa is bad. I mean, I think it's all in perspective, though. You know, if you look at where France are on the rankings, they should be winning this game by this margin. In fact, some would argue they should be winning it by more. But it's all, you know, you can't just look at it as if a team's not number one ranked in the world, they're bad. You know, I feel like there are a lot of teams who are at different stages, definitely in the women's game. You know, some of these sides only started not that long ago. But now on the short side, Ellie with the inside ball, going to Nadine Ruiz. Now, thought about using that one was Makua. Now, collision in the midfield for Lacha. Oh, that looks bad. Yonella. It looks like Ngolo, who has stayed down here with some sort of injury. And she does not look in a good way at all. She's actually sat down now. With this red card, it is not beyond, or it's not beyond impossible to win now. Says Mr. and Mrs. I love the way Hamish censors chats. Says wild, and yeah, they're going to have a stoppage here for Yonella. Ngolo. Oh, that was too many clicks. Ngolo. No. Why is it when I'm under pressure, I can't say her name, and it's very sad because I did practice it. It's like if you were like, I don't even know what the comparison is. Imagine you're a singer, right? And you learn all your lines, and you are ready to go up on stage, and then you lose your voice. That's what this scenario for me is like. Enlighten me a little bit. What is the difference between a 20-minute red and a full suspension? So some competitions use a 20-minute red. I think for severe foul play, they do go straight red maybe, or at least that was going to be trialled at some point. I'm not sure if they've done that as of yet. But 20-minute red card can still turn into a suspension. We have there 20-minute red. A player can come back on the field after 200 minutes. Full red, there's no new play. Although after a 20-minute red, I believe the same player cannot return, though, can it? I like choking an 8 Mile, says Big Rig. And did they not introduce the orange card in the Pacific Nations Cup? If they did, I haven't actually seen one yet. Bad red card. I agree. I saw that as maximum yellow in that scenario. France tackles are so weird. What the heck? Says Glory of God. And also, we have got come on the box. You can do it. From Altizia. Or Altizia? Altizia? Hopefully I've said that correctly. I think I haven't, though. But still down at the moment. Oh, I have a plan. Still down at the moment for Nyela Ngolo. That is me saying it because I was trying to get feedback on whether or not I was saying it right. Yonella Ngolo. Ironically, I think has she made her way off the field or is she staying out there? Because if she's off the field, then I have to learn a new name. Oh no, she's going to continue. Yonella Ngolo is still out there. No man, France is running. Come on, South Africa girls, don't give up, says Greta. Yonella Ngolo. We'll get it one day. I can say it when I say it softly, as when I try and yell it, that's my problem. For perspective, France are only 3 points behind New Zealand in the world rankings. Says Icarus. Yeah. Yeah, there is a big difference between the top sides in the women's game and the ones who are even considered not even that much lower. But there's just that gap. Honestly, South Africa are doing all right here. 32 minutes in, scored the 3 points, seeded the 3 tries. I don't think this is a mile off where they'd expect to be at this stage. Yonela Ngolo straight back into the action. She will be in the front row. Now Ele breaking off the back, but the red card was for Shumisa Guave, or Guave, in that number 8 jersey. Need a try before halftime, and that it's a knock-on from Ele. So another rare mistake from her in this contest. Now France looking to run it back. Bounce pass on the outside to Grezay. It's a good supporting run. The French skills are great. Great work on pronouncing her name right now. Hamish, your legend, says Brett. And also I can see Hamish enjoying saying the name that time right after learning it. Well, it's just because I'd practiced. That was the one name that I kept on going for to try and get it right. I don't feel bad about the pronunciation. Even we South Africans have difficulty, says Judy there. But Yonela Ngolo. And now she'll be injured and won't play in the next game. I bet you right now that they won't even pick her. Now going out to the left-hand side. Or sorry, that time it's right. I don't even know that way around now. Now Grezay, huge shot on her. And the steal and the breakdown from the South Africans. Nadine Roos bumps off her opposite number. That'll be a confidence booster for her. Trying to get through the fullback as well. And is wrestled down. And New Zealand country rugby. They win anywhere. Men's sevens and women. Now Ngolo. Oh, that one's going to be stolen there. Grezay. 25 metres out. Slow to get back for Yonela Ngolo there. So I think that she might be going off in the near future. Another mistake made by France. South Africa get the ball back. But can Hamish pronounce Llewellyn? Says Big Rig. And there is some delay here. France is 40. South Africa 5. That's a big delay. If that's what score you're sitting at. Are you sure it's this game and not a past game that you're watching, Smiley? We have got there. I'm not happy with these players for the Springboks. Why did they change them? I think the biggest reason behind it, I can understand the frustration because, of course, you want to see the best team up against the French. But the reason behind it is because they are saving certain players for that quarterfinal around the corner. Someone like a Jansi van Rensburg, she could be absolutely crucial. And the last thing that they wanted to do here was put her out there just in case there was the chance of injury. So, yeah, I think that the selections here is probably not a mile off what it should have been because they have to be strategic about how fresh their main players are going to be heading into the next one. I wouldn't be surprised if we see someone like a Nadine Roos and maybe even Ele go off at halftime for the sake of being just a bit of game time under the belt before heading into the quarterfinals. Now another big scrum from France, really well controlled in the way that they built into that one. Now, to the midfield. Hands of Conde. Now, kicked across field. Looking for an awkward bounce. Almost got it. It's slapped back by Dolph, who gets it into touch. We have got there another try for France. Oh, they've taken it quickly. 2 metres out and over the line and flattening out. And it will be, I believe it is Hiram, who does end up scoring it. First try of the 2025 Rugby World Cup. What a try South Africa had given up. Says Katzenel there. And another try for France. And also Protea 72 all out. England won by 342. And who got the red card? It was the number 12, Shumisa Mwave. Did end up getting it for herself. But the quick throw in there from the French. And a nice offload finding the hooker. And just finishing well. See it there, Dolph. Oh, Dolph's knee could be done too. She got her leg stuck under there. They need to stop doing that. That's going to do a knee real quick. And game, set, match. French skills are just too good. Yes, South Africa has given up. New Zealand will beat them. Says Sia there. Now missing away to the right-hand side off the kicking tee. Sitting 24 points to 3 now. France have already got that bonus point in the bag. And a little bit of information up against the Italians. France won 24-0 at full time. So if anything, yes, this result is not ideal for the South Africans, but if you look at this, and in the perspective of that game up against France and Italy, that means that already we've seen South Africa, oh no, they are taking her off here, Yonela Ngolo. She will have to come from the field with a bit of a limp. I don't see her making it to next week, unfortunately, if it is serious. But, yeah, the fact that South Africa, if they're at the same score as Italy were at full time, and the fact that South Africa beat Italy and they're through to the next stage, that can only be seen as a massive positive. Ali needs to come back to life. I think France are just being more physical than her at the moment, which we haven't been able to see. You know, up against the Brazilians, she was absolutely everywhere. Up against Italy, she was doing very nicely too. We have got there who are the Canadians playing. They will be taking on the Australians in their quarter-final big run forward. And the first collision of the match for Kuzwayo. Now, that's going to be a short ball. Look close to forward, but it is going to be play on for France with the ball in hand. Nice run forward from Champon. There was a blood moon at 5:30 a.m. Hamish says Sensei. Was it a South African player that got red carded? It certainly was. Shumisa Guave, in fact it was. Not even a single try. But the thing is, they weren't expected to win this game. I know that there was optimism, don't get me wrong. And it makes sense because of how they played up against the Italians. But they are up against one of the favourites of this World Cup competition. And South Africa, due to their game around the corner, that they are going head-to-head up against New Zealand more than likely, they didn't select some of the main players that helped them beat the Italians in the last game. So, like, even having 3 points in this game, a lot of sides would consider a big win up against the French. Because, you know, you look at some of their previous games, Italy, 24-0 in that contest. In fact, we can show you the scorelines that we've seen from France in their games. Look at that. Brazil got 1 try, but they conceded 84 points up against this team. Now going to the short side again. Found the offload. Nice quick hands, but a knock on again coming for Conde. So by winning Italy, you think France is easier? Says Cape Rugger. So by winning Italy, you think France is... I assume that's to the people in the chat, perhaps. But yeah, in terms of what I mentioned about how, you know, Italy lost 24-0 to France. So that should just show you, if South Africa lose this game by a bigger margin to the French, that gives even more credibility to their massive win that they had over the Italians. We have got there, how many players did South Africa rest for this game? I can tell you their starting lineup in the last match, but they haven't got Jansi van Rensburg, who was one of the absolute keys. They have made changes across the back three, I believe. We've actually seen very little of Hilliers throughout the rest of the competition. Now going off to the right-hand side, some beautiful quick hands. France grubbering the ball forward with Escudero. France are not skilled, to be honest. Like, in what way that they aren't skilled? Because they've dominated scrums, as they have throughout the whole competition. They were not on the mark there. And they've also got what is regarded as the best number 9 in the whole world out there on the field at the moment for them, alongside a very crisp backline. And Libby Jansi van Rensburg, one player of the match in the previous game. Says Casper there. Now getting ready to kick this one towards the sideline for the French. Already the 4 tries on the board for France in this game, but massive collision between Grisey. I believe it would have actually been Ngolo, and she got kind of bumped off. What is the score at the moment? The score is 24 points to 3, just about heading into the halftime break. I would have Malinga and Rensburg for the next match, and they will both be back. They will have both of them available for that contest, and they will certainly be picking them in the starting side. And now short side, Nadine Ruiz just running into 3 French players. Where can the rugby game be streamed? Depends on where you are in the world. If you're in South Africa, I believe DSTV is the only option for being able to watch it. South Africa just kicking that ball into touch. They did not like their chances of getting out of there, only 10 metres from their line, and it will be halftime now. 24 points to 3 in this match. Hit the like button and subscribe. Almost 700 people watching and only 100 likes. Cheers. Cheers, Mr. and Mrs. Manu. I think we need some more physicality from the ladies, looking for collisions, smashing into tacklers. We may not have fitness, or finesse, but we do have is violence. See, it's a tricky one, though, for the for the South Africans, because, of course, in an ideal scenario, if this was the quarterfinal, I think we'd see South Africa putting in a lot more big shots. But at the same time, because there's still a game around the corner, the last thing South Africa want to do is go too physical in this game, end up with injuries and lose their key players. That's why I think that the likes of Nadine Roos is going to be going away. We have there's 4 passes don't count in women's rugby. France are throwing 4 passes after 4 passes. I'll be honest, this weekend we've seen a huge amount of 4 passes. Some of them have been called, some of them haven't. But yeah, still in terms of position on the field, French have just been able to control this game very nicely. We have got the bizarre comment that France are not skilled. Lol says Naz Williams. And also, what is the score? At the moment, it is 24-3 going into half-time. France is not playing by the rules. So you see there, Springbok girls not in this game mentally, just going through to the phases. I'm sure the quarters will be a different game. Yeah, I think that for this game, the thing is, right, and with the exception of being able to play different players in this game and give your squad a little bit more rotation, they're like, how do we say this without it sounding bad? France were supposed to win this game 99.9% of the time, right? Based off where they are on the rankings, based on where they are at the moment in their game. South Africa, if this was a playoff game, the mentality would have maybe brought it up to about a 95.5%. But that wouldn't face the women's side from South Africa. They would have gone out there and they would have played their hearts and souls out completely. But in this game, you know, this is just a match for them to get ready for their quarterfinals. Because that is the one that they have to look at. No matter what happens, if they win or lose this game, it doesn't change a lot. And at the moment, it does seem like they're going to lose. They need to be focused for that next game, and that is the one that they're looking at. We have got their next match, South Africa versus New Zealand, and Ireland versus France. Quite disappointing. South Africa have rested players, understandable, but realistically, they've got 4 games to bring South Africa fans to women's games. Says Studs Rays. Cheslin needs an honorary position in our team, says Hillary. South Africa may just play safe in order not to get injuries. I think that's it. And I also do think that's what we saw from England in their game up against the Australians. I actually think Australia did a bit of that too. In the game between Canada and also Scotland at times, it seemed like the sides were going a bit easy. And also Ireland versus New Zealand, there were times where maybe both sides weren't pushing as hard as they could have. Because once the scoreline starts to get a bit one-sided, then it's just about preservation. Don't get injured. That's the main thing. Hoping for minimal injuries for South Africa. Yeah, at the moment there is just the one of Yonela Ingolo. Almost had it. Got it slightly wrong there, but we'll work on it. Mate, you can tell France are well-established side. They're just too cohesive. They need to win this one. Also set the bar high, says Zia. And also, who do you think is better between a Minnesota Africa team or the women's? Minnesota Africa. I've never heard of Minnesota Africa, if I'm honest with you, so I don't even know what the comparison would be. Women Box are being put under pressure and they're frantic. They're making things hard for themselves with poor decision-making. And the other bonus of that, I know that that's like a really big negative to have, but the benefit that they have is this is going to be considered as their biggest test match in terms of up till this stage of the competition. This will actually teach this side quite a bit about how to try and defend up against a side that just continuously throw players straight at you. And, you know, France will be up for the challenge in their quarterfinal up against the Irish. They'll feel confident heading into that match. I mean, Eden Park was sort of the same scenario. Save our players for 2027 World Cup. Why break them now? Give them exposure. That is all that matters. I don't think it was quite the same. 2027 is long enough away that, like, imagine if Russie said in a press conference what you just said. He would get sacked on the spot by the whole public. If they said, oh, we don't really care about the Eden Park Test match. We're just testing a few guys out so that we can get ready for that 2027 World Cup. I think that in that case, it was just, unfortunately, they got the selections wrong. In this case, it's more so just South Africa have been a little bit out-muscled, a little bit outclassed by this French side. Even looking through at these stats, 6 clean breaks to the 1. And they need to win this, rather play with Ireland for the match. Says Zia, possession at the moment, 46 for South Africa isn't actually that bad. South Africa women need to relax and take things slow and just do what they did in their games before. Says Lucinda. Yeah, see, even up against the Italians, who can be quite a fast-paced kind of team. You know, in the second half, Italy really trying to speed it up, taking quick taps, but South Africa handled it well. But I do think that France's work in the breakdown is also straight away throwing South Africa on the back foot, making it more difficult for them to then get those turnovers and get that go-forward ball. There weren't too many opportunities for South Africa outside of the first 5 minutes that we actually saw that kind of attacking of South Africa from inside of the French half. Ladies, will learn another today, says Jan. And also South Africa will win this, says Frying Pan. South Africa pretty much battling Europe this World Cup, says Big Rig. And also the world saw Springboks struggle against the Wallabies in match 2, or in 2 matches, says Doc. Just showing that early try being scored by Boulard in that number 15 jersey. France is having us for Sunday lunch, says Rhea. And also to win this, they'll have to go into French territory and score tries. During first half, they spent less than 1 minute in French 22. Yeah. If you look at the flag, there's a W after South Africa. W means win. So is that not the same for the French one as well? Rassi won't say that. But that is a silent principle that all in South Africa understand. Okay. Fair enough. Okay. France are a good team. See, Andrew, they're a world-class team. I think that they probably aren't getting enough credit for what they have been able to do throughout this World Cup so far. And also, I think teams are going to start definitely taking notice of them when we get through to those semi-final stages. I believe for New Zealand and that side of the draw involving Ireland, France, etc., the semi-final is when we could end up seeing a matchup between France and New Zealand potentially. We have got there, Hamish, have you ever thought of doing a voice overlay a couple weeks after a match as a highlights video? It still would be illegal, even if it is after the match. But, you know, I thought about it at one point for like smaller competitions, trying to reach out and seeing whether or not that is a possibility, but there's still a lot of licenses involved. And why care about Eden Park? Ref was paid off. 4 World Cups. Weather was unreasonable. Games in New Zealand don't matter. Ref hates South Africa. World Rugby hates scrums. 4 World Cups. Did I mention refs? Says such race. And French to be taken seriously, says Ruth. And they only lost by 1 point to England in the Six Nations, says Andrew. Absolutely. This French side, if England play France in the final of this World Cup, it could actually go either way. No matter what people say about this English team and the fact that they're on home soil. France, if they are motoring forward and they are playing well, they can beat any women's side in the world of rugby. Women's rugby is a little hard to watch, not going to lie. Not saying because it's played by women. I'm saying because it's not as professional yet. Most of the players on the field don't know the rules clearly, says Gloria God. But I think it's just, you know, it's got to start somewhere. And I do think a lot of the sides throughout this World Cup, we can see the big differences between them. But these younger and newer sides, you know, like, they're not going to be, because it's kind of comparing apples to oranges. You know, you look at a men's side, for instance. South Africa, when was the men's South African rugby team established? We'll go Springboks Rugby, what do you call it? Start date. There we go. Start date for the Springboks men in terms of, oh no, it's just trying to give me like results. Springboks original start date. There we go. Original start date was right back in 1891. Now we go Springboks Women Rugby. What do we got here? It was 2004. So the men's side of things have had an extra about 120 years to be able to sort out how to play the game and how to learn the laws and adapt as well. This side is younger than me, the Springboks women team. And most men's pro rugby players don't even know the law either, says Studsray. And we have got there, like the French keep doing high tackles, and the ref is so weird, not saying high tackle, not to mention the fact they keep grabbing the ball off the floor when the ref has said tackle. Says Glory, that may not so much be the fact that they're like inexperienced, though. That might just be the case of they're trying to really toe that line. First game was against the Lions. Hamish, you can just ask me. Says randomly factual. And stuff like being offside, being off feet, kicking to the touch, and free kicks is male dominated, says Big Rig. I've seen the one French girl do it at least 5 times. And the sad reality, though, is play to the whistle. And if the referee is not penalising them for it, and they're able to toe that line in terms of what is legal and what is not, until they get penalised for it, I think they'll keep on doing it. We have got there, it's okay. New Zealand are going to win the whole thing anyway. Other teams just there for decorations, says Paul Auckland NZ. I can tell you that most of the people in the country only started seeing the women's box in the last 2 or 3 years, says Haino. Some of them only started seeing them like last week when they beat Italy and made it to the quarterfinals. By mistake, tuning into this history lesson, not complaining. To be fair, it's just off Google, isn't it? I don't really know too much about the start dates. I don't even know when did the All Blacks start? Rugby original date. While we're at halftime, we'll do a bit of Googling. It started in 1905, so it was actually later than South Africa. Now, I'm sure that can be used in some way. Black Ferns, when did they start up? That'll be 2000 and sometime. 1989. That's why I sucked at history. 1908, says Studs Race. The lads do that every game, says Big Rig. And we became the Springboks on the 1906 tour to the UK under the captaincy of Paul Roos. And also, the one thing you don't see the women do is push and shoving with grabbing of the shirt collar, says Big Rig. Eden Park in general, no team can beat All Blacks at their fortress. Everybody must remember the Springboks were not the best. Maybe not good this year. They may be better next year. And not original date, it's established, says Stephen. Well, that would have been probably a better word to use, but original date did the job. It ended up coming up, so I feel like it's a win-win, isn't it? We have Gadewi Sport fans are always complaining about refs. It's annoying at this point, says Katzenel. So could you also argue that eventually we'll get to the stage of it will be annoying to complain about the people complaining about the refs? Or you get in towards that direction? Because people get annoyed with people complaining about the people complaining as well now. So I think we'll end up just in a full cycle of about 10 times in a row that people are annoyed at the complaints from the complainers, and then that also is a complaint from someone else. I don't know. It's late at night. England invented modern football and rugby union, and we still lose almost every tournament. Says Big Rig. In 1905 was the first time the All Blacks were known as the All Blacks. As far as I know, New Zealand had an original team back in 1888, if I recall correctly, says Randomly Factual. The New Zealand natives toured in the 19th century, says Studs Race. Now they're trying to sell me a couch. That does look like a comfy sofa. Yes, it's annoying, especially as a South African hearing complaints from other South Africans, says Stefan there. But what we will quickly do is we will look through at the benches for these two sides, ladies and gentlemen. We are just about back underway for the second half. Kuzwayo, she has made her way onto the park due to the injury of Yonela Ngingolo. I didn't get it right again. I got it right for so many times before the stream. I was confident, and now I've butchered it again. It's just the name on the spot. I panic under pressure. But some very handy options for the French off their bench as well. Okimba is there in the number 21 jersey. Then also Ngwevu. I think Ngwevu's could add a bit of something later on in this game. We did already see the red card of Quave, so I think maybe that is a change that will be made quite early on. Also, alongside that, I wouldn't be at all surprised if we see a few extra switches at halftime just to take Nadine Roos off the field. Could you pronounce it correctly? I could, before I started streaming. I've learned that if I say it softly, it works better. But I don't often talk softly on the streams, so I'm worried the mic won't hear me. Anyone know how much the men's Springboks need to beat New Zealand by next week? As in to get to top of the table, or just in the world ranking side of things, or what's the go? I agree with Big Rig Joe. At a halftime currently, it is, but both sides just about to get back underway. France are going to be kicking off from right to left. It looks a little bit overcast, but it's also nighttime almost, so that makes sense. It's actually about what it looks like in the background of Twickenham, which this game is not at. It is Northampton. A little bit of breeze still in play here too. World ranking says Gloria God. I don't think New Zealand, I want to say they can't drop from number 1 for this weekend because of that win over South Africa, but maybe they still can if it's a big enough margin. Can't watch anymore. So here's Catherine there. And also we have got there, I agree with Big Right Joe to get number 1. And now second half, ready to get underway. The French kicking off from right to left. Springbok men and women are currently showcasing world-class talent in all games, says Casper. 10 seconds before they can kick off. Wait, or is that 10 seconds before we start? I think it's 10 seconds before we start. Looking around to see whether or not there's any changes. South African second wind. I hope that they get a little bit of something going here. It's going to be kicked off, nicely taken by the box. And about 30 metres out from the line. They actually started the first half well. got themselves a few extra meters for a couple quick carries. Perfect pronunciation of Rus, says Hillary. Hamish, have another sip of that big vodka bottle, then your tongue is less stressed and you can pronounce any name. Says Xander, already the steal in the early stages for the French. Little kick in behind. Attempted here for France. No one back there for South Africa. Now having to retreat. It's going to be nicely done by some boy who does slip over just short of your 5 meter line. France again trying to get that counter ruck. We have got there, do you mean showcasing world-class talent by playing against them? Says Studs Race and prediction for Aussies versus Argentina. I thought Argentina should have been pretty close in that first game, and they honestly should have been able to win it. Now, going into touch. No, doesn't find the touchline. But no, I think that Argentina, it would be nice to see 1-1 in that series, but also for the Bledisloe, I feel like 2-0 for Aussie would be good. Pick and go. Running sideways. Huge shot coming in from Latcha. Now cross kick. Tempted here again. Conde chasing after it. Just gets a little bit too much of a skiddy bounce. Goes into touch. French attack. The women and some, not all to be honest, in this game that haven't been doing well. We have got their fun fact. USA is the reigning Rugby XV gold medalist. Happened in 1924. Last time at Rugby XV was at the Olympics. Says randomly factual. And also we have got, where'd that one go? There it is. Started back in 1999 World Cup. Wallabies versus the Box. Says Doc. Now line out throw. A lot of pressure here on Gunther. So 38 minutes left in this match. Thrown into the back. Nicely taken by Jacobs. It's not straight. And this is only 5 meters out from their own try line as well here. As I say, we're going to need Argentina to win on the weekend and us to win. Says Hano there. New Zealand should lose top spot in the rankings next week. Loss was more than 14 points. New Zealand playing home will lose more points than they gained with the win yesterday. Says Stefan. See all of the French bench at the moment warming up in the background. You just feel like France should have the bigger gas tank here. Although saying that, South Africa, they did hold on very well in their game up against the Italians. Ready to feed it in. Only 5 meters out from the try line. We've already seen that change in the front row for South Africa. We might see a couple more in the relatively near future. And try France. A little bit ahead. Let's try and avoid the spoilers. It's going to be the pass on the outside. And it will be the try for Emile Bouillard. But of course, we knew that. 43 minutes in. And France get themselves another one. And the Afrikaans are finished. Says Katzenel. But now 6 tries in this Women's World Cup for Bouillard. Or Boulard, I should say. And nice to see South African ladies get try, says Ruth. And also try, says Ruth. And there as well. But yeah, in the wide channel. Just as dangerous. Knows where the try line is. Says all in the game here 6 times already. I don't even know who's the leading try scorer in this Women's World Cup. But there are so many players with over 5. So what we're going to do is we're going to go like this. And we're going to find out. Kiwis were gassed out at Eden Park. They have over-exceeded themselves, says Casper. Okay. So you're saying next game because they'll be sleepy and tired from playing the week before. Okay, 6 at the moment was the most. And that's shared by, it is Julia Schell of Canada, Jess Breach of England, Sorensen McGee of New Zealand, Tafuna of USA, and McGee of Scotland. So there's currently 5 ladies who all have 6 tries. And now there is a 6th because of this try that we've just seen from the French fullback. Yes, they will be sleepy and tired. Oh, okay. They're emptying the bench here, South Africa. That is about 6 or 7 players. I think, in fact, that's all of the players, again, that De Bruyne has decided to bring on all at once. This is a losing weekend, says Thomas. We have got there maybe one good move. We'll get the box to spark and bomb squad time. South African defence as not make sure, says Sia. And box should have one. All Blacks laugh, says Briston. Now Ngwevu has made her way on. So I think they were actually just waiting for that red card to end before they decided to make any big changes off the bench. But yeah, 8 players at once making their way onto the park. Now. Oh, Nadine Ruiz is actually staying out there, though, which is quite an interesting choice. I would have thought they'd take her off. Bomb squad won't change anything. Probably not. But they will be fresher, and they will get some minutes under their belt before the quarterfinal. Now, taken. Oh, big collision there. Quite high. Now, moving sideways. 22 metres out from the line for France. Bit of a counter ruck coming from Nguevu. And so tell Hamish, who will be tight 5 for Springboks in Saturday's clash? Well, I don't think the front row will change that much. Maybe Wilco Lowe might go in. They might even consider starting someone other than Malcolm Marks, having coming off the bench. But Russie's going to announce the side tomorrow, I believe. Or today, in fact. So, we will soon know. As a winning weekend for South Africa because we rather chase long-term goals than short-term glitter. Says Casper, nicely taken by Dolph. Oh, ended up sliding underneath. Oh, and there is the penalty for obstruction. South Africa women's rugby team are actually good. Says WBW, they've done extremely well throughout this World Cup. Now sitting on the halfway line, losing the footing underneath. Now off to the right. Chance again, bit of a missed pass, and they will go back for the original knock-on. De Bruyne wants all players to experience playing before the end. Exactly right. Like, at the end of the day, that is what this World Cup is about. For some of the sides, definitely the lower-ranked teams. I'm not saying that's the same for South Africa. I think that they're just trying to give everyone a bit more of a opportunity to go through. But, I don't know, I feel like it's pretty important that even if you aren't one of the best players, that you at least get some minutes. We have got there from Dickie Dick. Maybe when you get emotional about how hard they hit, it is worth watching, but there is zero skill, just the same patterns over and over, says Dickie Dick. Maybe when you get emotional about how hard they hit, is worth watching. Is that as in like my commentary or like as in the game? I assume my commentary. I would possibly have to guess. But now, going forward for the French. Currently sitting 34 minutes remaining back across to the left-hand side. And should have done the rotation versus Brazil rather than this game. Says Studs race. Oh, knock on from France. And it's going to now be the scrum feed. You can chase long-term goals, but not at the cost of You can chase long-term goals, but not at the cost of long-term goals. So you're saying you should and you shouldn't chase long-term goals. And when will you get the time to make your own lineup prediction? Probably, I'll just have to do an all-nighter again, probably. It's the easiest way of doing it. Russie needs Arnold, says Ruth. And also 7 p.m. New Zealand time and 9 a.m. South African time when Russie announces the team. And also we have got there, these games is already going to see you in the quarterfinals. Oh, sorry, this game is already gone. Says Katzenell. And evening, Hamish, we'll be watching the Currie Cup semis next week. It's tricky because one of them does overlap with a women's semi-final. I believe that South Africa versus New Zealand in the the quarterfinal is actually taking place at the same time as that Boland versus Lions game. Maybe? No, in fact, my apologies. It's the Griquas Cheetahs that it overlaps with. Uh-oh. Front row's gone down. South Africa do get themselves the penalty. There's more Portuguese and Spanish in the French team. There's Blues note. Another collapsing scrum. They haven't been the smoothest thing. We have got there, bro. Why can't you stop this nonsense and show us the game? We don't want to see you, says Amber. Well, sadly, Amber, due to something called copyright. I could give you a good lesson on it if you'd like, but pretty much it's illegal. So if I show anything, I end up disappearing. And people come for me and put me in handcuffs, and not in the kinky way, in the prison way. So that would be worse than the kinky way. But, yeah, unfortunately we can't show anything because it's illegal, and they'd end up taking us down. Now, 32 minutes remaining. France with the ball in hand, 35 metres out from the line. I worked it out on the World Rankings calculator. South Africa beats New Zealand with more than 1 point. South Africa will take top spot again by 0.02 points, says Stefan. Yeah, so it is all very close at the top of the bunch at the moment. Another offload attempted there from France. It's got a little bit more scrappy for them in the second half. That is going to be picked up by these South Africans. And Amber, not too bright. Says Catherine there, and Springboks really, what is going on? And fun fact, Hamish likes handcuffs. They have their place in this world. But now going out on the wing, Samboya does end up knocking it on. We have got there, Hamish can act out the game with toys to avoid copyright. That is true. It would take a lot. I'd need a few helpers, I would say, just in terms of holding the figures. Definitely for a scrum. Scrum would be hard work. We got to have 16 people in the right place. Damn, she hit her head hard on the ground there. Some boy, unfortunately, both of her arms. Oh, no, that's a broken nose if I've ever seen it. Ouch, face plant, says Dudley. She look all right, though. She seems to think she's fine. 31 minutes left. Oh dear, Hamish, I need a strong coffee now. And how prison in New Zealand? You will enjoy prison. Why would I enjoy prison? Ignore the hater, says Robin. I heard zip ties are way more uncomfortable than the metal cuffs. Well, they would be, and they get tighter if you try and move too much. We have got the Russ at 15, says Hano. Yeah, she has actually switched into the fullback role with Taylor Kinsey, being the number 9 role at the moment. I wonder what it's like commentating when the chat goes unhinged like this, says Randomly Factual. Well, we are now finding out. That's going to be a quick tap taken by the French after the penalty. Great low tackle made. But now another offload. France trying to speed this one up a little bit more. Jacobs making the tackle. Sorry, we don't see Hamish in handcuffs. I like to chat with Hamish. Oh, you don't want to see Hamish in handcuffs. And South Africa Rugby has contracted Drekes du Plessis on a short-term contract to coach forwards on takedown techniques. Says Casper. Hamish would sit in the guard tower and the microphone. Commentate the prison fights. Now on the outside. And that little bit closer. France, 15 metres from the try line. Looking to become the highest scorer in the whole competition is the number 15 here. Bulla, I should say. And delayed, but strongly disagree with Amber and us not wanting to see it. Says Caitlin. Did everyone... And Lily is here too. Did you girls hear the talk about the handcuffs? Or was that hopefully beforehand? Oh no, Lily is literally says, can you play out the police handcuffing you too? But on the outside, the try for France. And it's lovely work. And it will be Grisey who scores it. Another much needed try, I have to say. Caitlin Lilia, hello lovely ladies, says Ruth. Us groupies, Hamish's gang. And I can't wait to represent South Africa. When I'm in WWE and be the first ever blind world champion in a couple of months. Says WBW Wrestling. But quick taps just taken. I think I missed the handcuff combo. That may not be a bad thing. And about time you come to South Africa to see all your fans. Says Hillary. One day. I'm not sure when I would head to South Africa, but I have learnt that you guys have some good food. And Ruth, absolutely. Says Caitlin there. Will be your lawyer, says Mohadeen. And Ref's eyes are crooked, says Blues Nate. Stan Hansen was never WWE champion. Now lining up this kick. 5 seconds remaining, getting very close to running out of time and hooking it away to the left. Now making the score 36 points to the 3. 52 minutes gone, still 28 remaining. France looking their way towards that 50. I love your feedback, just gone straight on the game. They're scoring. Talking about handcuffs, says Robert. Yeah. It's a mixed bag. It's currently a 5 a.m. live stream, though, to be fair, in my defense, after about maybe 7 hours of sleep from the last 48 hours. So, handcuffs are on the mind. Only because I don't want to get arrested. We are waiting for our Springbok girls to score a lovely try. And also, French handling is seriously slick here. I don't think South Africa fans should be too concerned. They have improved a lot in the 12 months. Absolutely. They almost improve every game at the moment, the South African team. The more time that they spend together out there on the field, that one's going to be loose. Picked up now by Jacobs. Off to the left-hand side, Nadine Rohr. She's running backwards in that scenario. Now trying to straighten. Hands of Eloise Webb. And rush defence from France, just trying to shut it down from the get-go. Kuzwayo. Now, another pop pass, just a little bit too far out in front of Unwevu. It will now be another scrum. South Africa, play a fast game, please. And stop kicking it away, says Gloria God. And French fries and Nutella and Hamish with handcuffs. Don't worry about getting arrested in South Africa, says WBW. Well, Springbok Women's team still playing the finals. They are still through to the quarterfinals no matter how it sits in this contest. 12 handling errors does hurt quite a bit for South Africa in this one. But I'm definitely going to have to do some homework about how to say some of these French names. I imagine pink fluffy handcuffs. We actually got one of the other Kiwi lads a pair of those for his birthday one year. He's now engaged, so it must have gone down a treat. But now scrum for the French. Bonus point already on the board. 36 points to 3. Now step into the outside. Plenty of pace being shown, and she is ripped to the sideline. Manages to still get the offload away in time, though, for the dangerous French halfback. Ball's loose again. Nicely taken at the back, and again sent downfield from Emile Boulard. She's still waiting for try number 7. Your name spelling is improving, Hamish. Keep on practicing. Says Mornay. Who's your Super Rugby team? I don't really have one, to be fair. We normally call those games quite down the middle. Caitlin, you got a pierce. Is nice. Now back across to the right-hand side for Russ. Another try for France. I think you're still ahead. Now, Russ looking to break through the line. Nadine Russ gets wrestled towards the sideline. And that's very close to going into touch, but it was a good tackle from Escuro. And now it will be the try down the short side. And like I've said, she's done pretty much everything else in this game. Pauline Bourdon does get the try. We have got another try. And also, can't be George engaged. No, it was Isaac. 3 tries in this Women's World Cup. Well, very close to the sideline. She's just cleanly ripped that out of the hands of Taylor Kinsey. Fun fact, I was in handcuffs once. It wasn't fun, and pepper spray didn't work for me. Says randomly factual. Right. See, I feel like if you learn that you don't get affected by pepper spray, the last thing you should do is tell someone you don't get affected by pepper spray. That surely just makes it worse. What would you say? Or would you say this is a good idea of how the New Zealand are? I think that New Zealand definitely will come into the favourites role as that quarterfinal rolls closer. South Africa will have changes, but it is going to be a mountain to climb. Like, this is a very good performance from France here. South Africa at times haven't been that bad, but they've just been put under more and more pressure. If we could put in our first team today, the score would have been the other way around. Says Casper. We have got our thief in the night there in France. Says Studs Race. Oh, hang on. TMO check. What is this one going to be for? Maybe to do with whether or not that ball was out of the breakdown or maybe even out of the field. Got the slow, ominous walk towards the big screen. Nadine Russ in the background just having a little bit of a chat. One of her teammates. Right. What happens here? What are we looking for? They're saying there might be... I mean, it hit her hand. So that might be a knock-on against the French halfback. Okay, she touched the ball, and then it moved forward by the sounds of it, is what the referee is saying. So this might be no try for France here. It just brushes the hand. Looks so confused. I was quite confused there. I had my concentrated face on. South Africa's second team, says Casper. And if the South Africa, is the South Africa's strongest team, it is very much experimental side. There are some of their top starters that are in this lineup. It's going to be no try, though. This one ruled out. Uh-oh. She's about to go have a fight with the ref looking at that face. Can you speak French? None at all. And I really do apologise for my pronunciation of the French names. I think that heading into the next game for France, I will be a lot more schooled up on how to say them, but I do get a lot of them wrong. It was the same throughout the New Zealand versus France series. I think it's more so the silent letters I get wrong, and it always butchers it. But now will be the scrum feed for South Africa, so they do survive that one, making the score now back to 36 points to 3. At this point, I'm just sick of TMOs, even when they're correct. Says Studs Race. It's the whole how long it takes for them to be able to get to the decision. How many changes did they make, says Morno? I'd say probably about 10 changes across this lineup, maybe even more. The red card pissed me off. Yeah, it wasn't a red. I thought a yellow at most. But the fact that it did end up getting upgraded was pretty rough for the South Africans. Try disallowed, so 36 points to 3. Be sure not to put in too many spoilers, though. Of course, wait until we do react if possible. Penalty does go the way of the French. Quick tap taken. Now going off to the right-hand side. France, it doesn't take them too long to create that counter-attack. Mwevu with a big shot on Kunde. And also Nadine Russ is in there as well. That ball's going absolutely nowhere. And France should end up conceding the scrum. Yes, they do. Great work from some physical South African players in Mwevu and Nadine Russ. I can't believe the difference in this match in the last, says Stefan. Would you say that card left you seeing red? Says Big Rig. And I can speak French, says Cameron in there as well. Can Springboks men be no one if they win Saturday? Can Springboks men be no one if they win Saturday? Oh, number one in like the world rankings? Yes, by a thin margin by the sounds of it. New Zealand women win. They did manage to get themselves to win 40 points to 0 up against the Irish. Scrum penalty so far. We have actually seen 3 go in favour of South Africa, or is that 3 against them? That might be the other way around, actually. And imagine South Africa actually wins this game, 140. The second half says WBW. Now ball's there. To the right, Nadine Ruiz playing as the first receiver. Mwevu, another big carry forward before she is tackled by Vernier. Oh, big fend. Making those meters. Anyone who grew up with Cartoon Network knows omelette de fromage. Says Big Rig. Up to the halfway line. I think France. Oh, that was dirty. One of the French players, I think, just slapped one of the South African players on the ground, or she might have tried to grab it at headgear or something, but she gave her a little bit of a slap across the mush. Sitting about 45 metres out from the line. Almost dropped ball, but well hung on to from Ndleki. Oh, that's a bad pass. That's gone to no one except for the French, and the turnover is there now. All drop ball, though, from France, but they'll go back for the initial knock-on. We have got there Hamish struggling to say that shows his age. Did I say that? So it's not... Wait, is it not omelette du fromage? It's a reference to something, isn't it? Like a show. And sadly, I do not know the reference. I used to watch a lot of Scooby-Doo. That was about all my Cartoon Network watching in terms of how far it went. Probably looking forward at the November tour since France playing the Springboks. Says Monet, although the men's side we've been practicing a bit. You know, as we got throughout that July internationals, we did get better. And hopefully we will get better with these names too. And South Africa taking hiding, just tune back in, and Black Ferns will trash them with more than 70 points in the quarters. Says Driss. And fun fact, Spanish conquistadors used eclipses to show the locals that the gods were on their side. Says randomly, Dexter's Lab Man. Dexter. He's in a show on Cartoon Network. Is he the one with the little... He's like really short and he's got glasses. And he might have ginger hair. Is that Dexter? I don't know what the show was called, though. Unless it's called Dexter's Lab. I'm going to get myself in trouble if I keep talking, so I'm better off remaining silent. Put me in the handcuffs. At 14 points to 10 at the moment in terms of the points of Pool D. What games next week, says Mohadeen. So at the moment, the way that we are sitting, New Zealand will be playing South Africa in the quarterfinal. And that is going to be this first one up here. So New Zealand, South Africa there. And then this game will be France versus Ireland. So pretty much 2 games of the Six Nations down here, rematches, and then the other 2, one of them is a rematch of the matches that we saw earlier on in the year, except it was the New Zealand XV, and then the other is actually a rematch of like the Pacific Nations 4 series that we saw as well. Sounded like a sincere request. Ruth, you're up. Dexter's Laboratory is the show you're looking for. Thinking of Dexter Morgan for a moment there. Who's Dexter Morgan? I should have remained silent. Now, wide cut-out pass for the French. And sit in with the 20 minutes remaining. There might be a turnover in the breakdown from the Bok. No, they give away the penalty instead. And regardless of today's match, we are proud of you girls. And you know that they're going to go into that next game firing. Another try for France. If we could just avoid the spoilers. You've spoiled the last about 4 French tries, if not all of them. Just try and just wait a little bit longer would be nice. It is a try. Yay. Absolutely great. Deshay does score it. You go on the Springboks men next week, says Mohammed. Then we certainly will be doing that one on the channel, dear Lord Hamish. You need some culture, starting with Godfathers 1, 2, and not 3. Okay, see, I haven't seen any of them. I got money on Canada, the unexpected, we never know. Says Blues Nate there. And if South African women had won this game, do you think, or who do you think would have been the Springboks woman player of the match? Probably someone like a Nadine Roos, I think would have really been the difference maker for them. Dolph, you know, if you were to pick players who have been decent, I think she's been all right, although she did get a little bit out of position for that one. We have got there 43. Okay, so we're just ignoring the request of no spoilers, are we? We have got there 41 runs for 3 wickets better than the men against England, says Kevin. We have got there at times, South Africa blown away by the French SWAT team, says Ruth, and gives South Africa women 5 to 10 years. That will be a major force. Matt Pierce mentioned on the breakdown, they really started to provide more resources into the Wahine game over there. That can only mean good, says Nars Williams. Yeah, it does seem like even in just the last 3 or so years, we've seen them massively start to improve. And even looking through at what their game was up against the Italians about 3 years ago, it's completely changed. And under understatement even, says Big Rig. So 27 points up was an overstatement. Over there, South Africa blown by French. Blown away. South Africa won't get any points because France plays a quick game, we don't. They have got 3 points at the moment. Now, a big run forward again. This is actually going to be Chambon off the bench, whose name I know I absolutely butchered. A men and women Springboks lost this week, says Mohadin. Back into the pocket. And they're going to go for a little chip in behind here, France, rather than going for the full-on boot. Dolph takes it round the halfway line. Lily B, hi, are you good today? Says Kevin. Commentator in the Canada game says most of the Canadian girls play in New Zealand, England, and France, which is wild considering how strong their team is. Says Big Rig. Yeah, they just seem to gel as a side very well. In that Pacific Nations 4 series, I believe they pushed New Zealand. In fact, I think they may have drawn, didn't they? Have money on South Africa on the next try. Says WBW. They would be paying quite a bit, I would think, for the junior. No, I almost said every Springbok side except for the Springbok women's team. Now, off to the left-hand side. Shalwa, I should say. Another pick and go. Couldn't quite get her offload away for Eloise Webb. And we have got there as impossible that England, Black Ferns, and Canada have peaked too early. It's a tricky one because I'd still say that New Zealand, for me, haven't quite peaked yet. They had a good game up against the Irish, but I still think that they would look at that game and go, there were a couple little things we want to get a little bit better. England have been strong from start to finish, but I do think when it gets to the playoff games, that's when we'll really see them find their stride. Like, there could be some one-sided quarterfinals. Nadine Roos, backline movement here for South Africa. Little chip attempted from Samboya. It sits back up for her off the partial charge down. 15 phases in a row. Best chance to be able to score almost an obstruction run there, but straight in the breakdown, and it will be the turnover. And it is the number 17, Deshay, who did just score, who manages to get the steal. England by far the best ladies team in the world. We'll meet Canada in the final, says Kevin. That one is going to be kicked into touch. It will be the French line out. And we have there Dexter Morgan as a fictional name for his real life name, Pedro Fajijo. Dexter Morgan is a fictional name. As in like the little guy who played the Dexter character's real name is Pedro. Is that what you're saying? Or is Dexter a different guy? Now 15 minutes left. South Africa again in possession with Jacobs. There goes my money, says WBW, although they do still have the ball. After a good bit of work in the line out. Nice run forward from Mleki. You'll get fed in South Africa with Bilton, Bry, and Brandy, says Hillary. Now another offload. South Africa 20 metres from the line. Again trying to get in the breakdown was that same player in the Shayers. Defending well though, France. Every breakdown trying to find a way of getting it back. You're correct, Hamish. And best score South Africa, says Alteza there. And speaking of women in good shape, a girl just travelled across all of America on a skateboard, took 113 days. Geez, that's an effort and a half, isn't it? Does she have plenty of spare wheels for the skateboard? What type of skateboard? I have so many questions, but I probably shouldn't ask them all now. 10 phases, loose ball picked up by South Africa. Nicely done by Cilliers. And Nadine Roos trying to create some magic, and it's a drop ball from Sambuya. I imagine it was more than one skateboard, but I legit don't know, says Big Rig. Dexter Morgan is from the show Dexter, about a serial killer. Oh, no, that's a different one, isn't it? Dexter's Laboratory is an unrelated kids show. If I was going to name a show for kids, I wouldn't have laboratory in the name, because that's too hard to spell for a child. I'd go Dexter's Lab. That's probably what it was called as well. Oh, Kimber makes her way on for the French now. And damn, needs super glue to catch that. Talking about the silver medal in the belt for that lady. That's what it says in the opening song. That's why kids all say Dexter's Lab. And oops, wrong game, says Nas. For the double century for New Zealand A against South Africa A. Ball fed in again by Chambon. Cross to the left. South Africa, they do still need to find a try in this match to give them that bit more confidence. Definitely if it's the last one. Dolph trying to find her way through. Massive fend off on the number 13, Conde. It was met by a tough challenge. France almost getting the steal in the breakdown yet again. That has been the epitome of their whole game. Just see that ball in the breakdown, try and rip it away. Levu knocks it on, but first it was France. There is going to be another scrum. South Africa will need Dexter's help to win this game, says Big Rig. It seems like at the moment we've hit a bit of a halt in this match. Both sides, we know who's going to win in this scenario. And there's no denying that France have played the better game of rugby. But I think now the crowd as well is starting to get that little bit of a feeling of, can South Africa still get something at the end of this game? It might be the Kiwi accent, but you sound like you say Dexter's Lavatory when you say it. Maybe, yeah, B and a V's not too far away, is it? However, if you want a massive amount of views on your reaction channel, react to Nightwish, says randomly, and this is crazy still at 3, says Seal, though one last chance here, well, in fact, many multiple last chances could still be on the cards. Nadine Roos going off to the left-hand side. Sambuya running down the wing, but again, brilliant defence from the French. Grisey gets the steal in the breakdown. I don't know how legal that was. I think there might have been a play on the ground from someone. Now having to cover a huge amount of ground. It's going to be a foot race. Boy, does Nadine Roos has speed, but she ran all that way to not get the ball, and now France knock it on 5 metres out from South Africa's line. That was a hectic little period of play. And what minute did the red card take place? In about the 32nd minute, I think it was, of the contest. And not even a single try, says there. And Annie True says Lilia. Our French defending like she warriors. That was a massive run, by the way. The way that Sambuya, she was not slow. And then just cut off straight away by Joanna Grisey. It just shows that little bit of extra experience and the level that we see. They don't know what we know, says Casper. They're just talking about Nadine Roos. The fact that she actually started a little bit slower than everyone else, but she did used to be a sprinter. She made up that ground very nicely. Factual, I just checked in all of Hamish's most popular videos are box squad predictions. Says Big Rig there. There you go. And yeah, we might not even get to do one this week with how quickly Rassi is looking to name a side. What do you mean, Casper? Says here. And fun fact, Tyrannosaurus Rex had a bite force of 6 kilonewtons. I have no idea how much that is, but that sounds like a little bit. In fact, that sounds like quite a lot. And I was absolutely brilliant. Thanks for your commentary. It's been hectic, says Ruth. Yeah, there's been moments in this game where, it looks like it's about to break open, but then South Africa haven't quite put that last big moment in. Do the platform here know? And I know Hamish is aware that New Zealand does not have even one snake in the country. I think we've got a couple, don't we? Just not loose. I think they're in zoos. Maybe. However, if I ever met a T-Rex, I won't let it bite me. Says Big Rick. That's a good call. Now, ready to feed it in for Taylor Kinsey. Still the 11 minutes left on the clock. This one for the South Africans going away to the right-hand side. Nadine Russ pops it on the inside. Good attack and run from Levu. I believe she will be starting in the next game up against New Zealand. And England has wild snakes, but they're all harmless. Says Big Rig. That's going to be another penalty, this time for offside against France. We have there, sorry, I missed a 0.60 kilonewtons. That's 6 tons. Okay, that makes more sense. And also, not even one Hamish, says Kevin. And it might be time for the old guard to take a permanent seat for the box now. Says LB. Yeah, it will be intriguing to see those selections in match number 2. Whether or not we see some sort of little switches along the way. Rose deserves to get a try today, says Hillary. Now 10 minutes on the clock. Conversation there with Jacobs and their replacement Honeycomb. And it's overthrown. So whatever that conversation was, it was not throw it to here. But it is luckily knocked on by France, so it means that South Africa get themselves another throw. Need Rose, Malinga, Hele, and also Ngwevu in the starting. Says here, and I think they all will be. There's no chance that for a match up against the Kiwis, they save Levu to make her way off the bench, unless, of course, they're looking at some sort of real impact role early on in the second half. Come on, Lady Box, get the first try, says Big Rig. I have to say, it is awesome to see that the crowd are still absolutely loving it. We see the South Africans in the stands trying to get behind their side, getting bullied by the French as a new low. And Big Rig, the height of confusion, is Father's Day in South Africa, says Kevin. And Rassi needs to get the fastest, quickest, most tough squad members for the next game. Come on, the Lady Box, get one try. Yeah, there's been a lot of times where we see the underdog score themselves that late try. This could be one of those games if they can just get that rhythm right and maybe get Joel Stransky to fly half a position again, or Percy, says Ruth. Now off to the left-hand side. France, 40 metres to go. Little flick pass round the back. That's a crunching tackle. Oh, my goodness. She just absolutely flattened the number 13. Here comes Nadine Ruiz. Couple fins in a row before she's wrestled down by Maka. Now just a wrongful pass went in behind Jacobs. Finds the offload again. South Africa have not given up in this game. Here comes Dolph. Now, or thought about going to Ngwevu, who continues her dummy run right through for an extra about 15 metres. As some of these Bok fans have travelled 13,000 kilometres to be there today, says Big Rig. And man, these players are fast, says WBW. And how about Mapimpi and Arm? I think that Mapimpi's got a chance of going into the second test. I don't know whether they go with Lukhanyo Arma. In fact, I don't even know if is he with the squad at the moment, or did he end up missing out? 5 phases at the moment for South Africa, though. Going off to the right-hand side. So trying to build into a Dolphin Rus. Knock, who's there? Rus who? I don't know what that says, the last bit, so I probably shouldn't read it, just in case. Now pick and go. And Levu. Couple more metres. France really want that steal. Definitely, I think that so far we've seen probably 6 or 7 breakdowns at least, where 17 and 18 for France have just taken turns trying to take it. I have a deal for you. If New Zealand does the double over us this upcoming weekend, I will send you a tenner. If we do the double, then you do a 5 to 10 minute just praising South African rugby. Yeah, all right. Wait, so you're talking about the men's and the women's teams, yeah? That's an easy deal, because if they won, I was going to be praising them anyway. So this way, at least I have a chance of making $10. Now, big run from South Africa. That's turning into a rolling maul. That they'll go back for the original penalty advantage. Hello, mate. Just came back from the pub. England, everyone was English cricket in there. Says Fleshin, and yeah, massive performance from England. The cricket side of things. It looks like it's getting a little bit dark and stormy looking in the background. We have there, yes, cool, says Hano there. Now it's going to be the line-out chance again for these South Africans. They won't be too far out from the line. 43-7. This could become 43-10. Rus versatile player who can play in other positions. Well, the fact that she was involved in the rolling maul hold up a little bit earlier on as well. South African sport will never give up. They play until the last minute, says Mornay. Ready to get this ball in again. Oh, it's gone over the top and taken by France. Now kicking it in behind. Bounce in ball. I see taken by Dolph. Now trying to run down the wing. Little bit of pace on show. That's a massive knee skid that she has left in the turf, or the knee track, I guess you call it, of where it dug in. Now the ball's still there for Ruas. They're asking for the knock on France, but it is called as backwards. And much respect for Ruas and Dolph. They gave it, they're all out there. Yeah, I think Dolph's been impressive throughout this game as well. And I do hope that she's rewarded with minutes in that quarterfinal, which I believe they will put her out there. Another try for France. So that is now another spoiler. We're going to have to time you out soon, because that's every single try that has been scored. You have just told everyone and myself before I see it. It is going to be the try for France. I don't think I've got excited for one French try because I've known they're all coming. But it is the try for Grisey. Now we have got there, Hamish, did she leave a skid mark? Not quite, just with her knee. You know, digging into the turf, any position the South African woman can take out of this game. Or sorry, any positives. I would say, in this case, I think that they've learnt what they need to do now. They know that New Zealand will play a very similar game to this, and I think New Zealand would be smart to play a similar way to how France have in terms of those breakdowns. We've got their try, says Ruth. And we've got their try, says Zia. And there as well. That's nicely done by, was Grisey just showing off the pace. Are the laws different in the women's game? Diving on the ball in the ruck for a try. Says LB. Here we go. We've dished out the first time out of the live stream, ladies and gentlemen. Not for you, of course, LB. Yeah, there's been a few interesting ones in the breakdown. Now that kick has gone over. After 75 and a half minutes, now the score's sitting 48 points to 3, turning into 50. So the half century on the board. A fun fact, the Waimiri Roswell disclosure coming soon, says John. I don't know what that is. Just showing the player of the match, Pauline Bourdon. Sansus. I can't say her last name very well, but she is player of the day. 4 minutes left. Still a bit of a conversation going on here between, I believe it is Vernier and the referee. Dean Ruiz ready to kick it off. Sevens players seem to play the best of all the players, says Hillary. And cheers, Hamish and all. See you for the next one, says Suds Rays. And I think this is a good measurement to see what we need to do for the New Zealand game. Yeah, I feel like there's a few little positives from this game, you know, for South Africa. They will know that the physicality is important. Also, that defence, you know, the scramble defence is where it's hurt them when that turnover has come. For France, it's normally when they get that breakaway down the wing. And Hamish, do you not sleep? You cover a lot of rugby, says Shane. You know, we haven't had a huge amount of sleep as of late. I managed to get about 6 or so hours during the day, though. So I could end up covering this one, and then we'll probably have another all-nighter later on. And now pick and go. Going off to the right-hand side. A little sell of the dummy there from the French. George Washington, I can never tell a lie. Our story was a complete lie. Says Big Rig now offloading it, or at least trying to. Ball stolen in the breakdown for the South Africans. Nadine Ruiz passes across, and another drop ball from South Africa, but it is a double knock on, and France will have themselves the feed. Our team South not play good, says Gerhard. And better than no sleep, says Shane. That is true. And good game. I hope the Boks do better next match, says Sia there. And also aliens have landed, Hamish. Aliens from Mars. Have they? Where are they? What country did they go to? I feel like that would start a little bit of controversy amongst Earth. It will be whoever discovers the aliens, whichever country they landed in, they have bragging rights. Because the aliens obviously went, that's the best place to land. You know? What was the score on the Black Ferns game? 40-0 for New Zealand over the Irish. So a very solid performance. We saw the hat-trick from Sorensen McGee. Now 2 minutes left. France looking for one more to extend their lead just that bit further. Once again, I will mention it though. Italy versus France. 24-0 in favour of the French. That's a beautiful piercing run, and it has to be the try this time. And it is the try. Managing to get it. Chambord? Maybe? I'm trying to hear the commentators because I have it very quietly. How do you say her name? It is Chambon. We have there, Russa Little Fighter. Please say their name. They've said everyone's name. Oh, they just said it when I was talking Chambon. I think they said Chambon. We'll get it eventually. South Africa building a partnership, 55 runs for 3 wickets. Notice how that was the only try we didn't see coming in this whole game because it wasn't said beforehand. And no man, France are a good side. Fight for the fatherless. Go see Nadine Roos' story there. So here's Anthony. Yeah, she's got quite the background for Nadine Roos. And her determination in general is just absolutely incredible. The Springbok women can definitely do better today. It was just too many mistakes, but they'll come back stronger. For this next game, though, for this game, though, Nadine Roos and Dolph gave everything, much respect to them. So here's Alzan. Yes, yeah, I would say, for me, those two have booked their spot in the starting side. I think that Lutch has been extremely busy in that number 3 jersey. She's had a few mistakes. Oh, that's a tackle in the air. So that'll be a penalty. Hopefully nothing more than just the penalty call. We have got there when South Africa's quarterfinal going to take place. It is going to be at 2 p.m. for you guys in South Africa on Sunday. I think. Yeah, Sunday 2 p.m. And that will be up against New Zealand. So you get a few hours after the Rugby Championship game and then we're straight into the action once more. And now we are after the 80 minutes. Now, if you're South Africa here, you can actually kick this ball out. Because at the end of the day, yes, South Africa would love to score a try here, but if they risk an injury at the end here, I just don't know if that would be the best plan. It looks like they are going to continue to try and play here, though. I'm back across. Do hear the French national, and just like that, France will regret going longer. Escudero stayed down. I think she got knocked out there, and she more than likely will miss the quarterfinals now because both of these sides decided that they wanted to play for longer. Wait, no, she's got back up. She's not going to be 100%. Here comes the run from Nadine Roos. She will score the final try of the contest. So South Africa get that try after much waiting. 81 minutes to be able to cross over. And that has made the crowd go, I think, louder than we've heard for any other try in this match. Solid effort from both Black Ferns and France, says John. And thanks so much to your next match. And also Wu says a big rig there. And Roos says Hano, and honestly, she deserved one with how she's played in this game. We're going to see it now. She sold the dummy going to Ngwevu, or at least looking like she was going to, and then the lethal step to be able to score that last try. And you can see how much it means to the South African team. Dolph pretty much dropped to her sitting position straight away of how tired her legs would have been from defending today. Oh, hang on. Oh, they're checking for obstruction. I think they're going to check here, and I think this one's going to be ruled out for Nadine Roos. Thank you, Hamish, one for commentary as usual. Top class, we all appreciate it, says Kevin. And last try wins. And Boo says Big Rig. Yeah, I think there was... I mentioned about how she sold the dummy as if she was going to Ngwevu. Ngwevu did end up in front of her. The crowd are booing, and the referee could tell that she's not going to be the most popular lady out there on the field. And thank you for the good commentary, Hamish. Let them have it, says Big Rig. It's not good to sell dummies because your customer base grows up, says a randomly factual. Okay, they are checking. I think this sounds like they're checking multiple things here. But it is that collision between Ngwevu and the ones in front. And we have got there, Wall next to win Shield. Says, or who's next to win the Shield? I know that Tasman and Canterbury are playing this weekend. How much time left? Currently 82 minutes through. So the game is pretty much, we're over at this point. It's just whether or not they get this last minute try or whether it's going to be disallowed for Ngwevu's dummy run. Oh, I don't think she was getting her anyway, but she is in front. So this is the type of one that will probably get ruled out because of creating the space. Very minimal connection. And I'd like to think by looking at that wide angle, she wasn't going to get there anyway. Or was she? if there wasn't that collision. Looking forward to the quarterfinals next week. Excellent commentary, Hamish. Thank you. Says John. Thanks for the commentary, Hamish. Says Big Rig. Okay, they're saying they're number 9 running in the same space, being Nadine Rus. I think they're going to take this one off her, and South Africa will not have their lone try. There is a collision. There's no denying that. She is in front. She does make contact with one of the French players, and it is one of the laws that they've been really honing down on recently. This referee didn't like us anyway. See her there. And Canterbury were too strong. Hopefully Canterbury hold it and Otago take it. See Shane, yeah, there is a lot of fingers crossed for certain sides, hoping that certain teams win and certain teams lose so that they do get their shield chance. Ref has been super harsh to the Boks today. And with that being said, that wouldn't surprise me if they take it away. Like, some referees would give this as obstruction. Some possibly would say she wasn't going to make that tackle anyway. Just still looking at it. This has taken 4 minutes for them to decide, though. And disallowed try, red card, not calling it in the ruck. Says Big Rig. Thank you for the amazing commentary, Hamish. Says theme. No worries at all. It was a little bit all over the place at times, I will admit. The French names will need a lot of practice before next week. She said minimal contact, and she sounds like she's going to say it's okay for the try. They're happy with that. The try is going to stand. Wait, what? No, didn't they just say, what? What just happened? She literally just said it's minimal, it didn't affect anything, no try. Wait, oh no, she went like that, but that means that she's going to give the try. What is she doing? The try is awarded for the South Africans. Why did she go like that? That means no try, but she was saying it's minimal contact. So that was actually meaning that it is awarded in this case. You see there, Jansi van Rensburg, she was celebrating with the sign, going for the South Africans, but the try will stand for Nadine Ruiz. That was a very confusing 60 seconds of my life. Which is what I said. Never mind. We've got their word box, get their pride. Says Big Rigger, thank you, France. Says Alfonso. And Jimmy was so entertaining. And also we have got there, well done, ladies. Blues Nick has said, and see her lose gracefully. French were better than us, says Hillary. Yeah, I think getting that last minute try, don't get me wrong, like this is still a one-sided score. But I also do think that South Africa getting that try at the end of this game, that was the perfect time to get it. Had they scored the first try, then conceded about 10 on the trot, confidence would be at a low. But conceding 10 tries and then scoring one, I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's all about that mentality of going, right, we were the last team to score, so now we're ready to go for those quarterfinals, and they are taking place next week. I will be covering them on the channel, or at least some of them anyway, so be sure to check that out. But yeah, final standings. We might as well quickly show you what it is going to be looking like. There we go. So first game has been confirmed as New Zealand versus South Africa, and that is going to be a tough one. But we will be covering that one on the channel. Canada versus Australia does follow. That is a 3 a.m. game. And then this game's also been confirmed. That will be France versus Ireland for quarterfinal. Number 3, England versus Scotland. That is the last game that will be taking place for the quarterfinals. The winner of the top 2 games play each other. So in this case, it could be, let's say, just for instance, it would be the chance of the favourites, New Zealand versus Canada, in their group. And then on this side of the draw, France versus England. That is how it can shape up. But of course, it could be South Africa versus Australia. It could be South Africa versus Canada, New Zealand versus Australia. All sorts can still happen in the very near future. We did just see there, unfortunately, due to the injury, Yonela, can't say her name on the spot. But Yonela, she was getting piggyback so that she could do the handshakes with the opposition. Nice little touch. The end of this one. We have got there, you need to watch Pinky in the Brain. Good job, France, says Alfonso to the Boks missed conversion. They did get it over. Hopefully it's going to update, but it doesn't look like it wants to because it says it's up to 89 minutes. But no, they did get the extra 2 points as well. Everyone give Hamish a round of applause for the hard work. He puts it in for us, says Theme. And mate, I had French by 51 rigged, says Robert there. And also we have got there, I think Novak Needs to get past Federer first, and South Africa versus Canada. We will be there, and thank you, Hamish, and Kiwi Lads Whānau. And thanks, Hamish, again, says Anthony. So, yeah, next live stream will be probably on about, I'd say, Thursday or Friday next week. We might try and do a little bit of a build-up to South Africa versus New Zealand again. But also alongside that, Rassi, by the sounds of it, is going to be announcing his side to take on the All Blacks in only around 14 hours' time. So if that is the case, we'll have the video coming out for that. If not, then if it's a little bit later, we will end up getting the chance to do the lineup prediction, hopefully, before it does happen too. But thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you all for the next one.